it's Serafina here. I am just checking in because I had a really fantastic lunch with some girlfriends and I had to thank them because they had actually had a bit of an intervention with me last year where I hadn't been getting better from migraine and I'd been unwell for so long and so wrapped up in my world that I didn't know how bad it was. I'm sharing today a bit about what that's been like and what it's been like to have chronic migraine. They suggested that I share that just in case somebody else is in the same position and they don't have the amazing girlfriends that I have. A little bit about migraine. It's bad. It's bad. Everybody has migraines that are slightly different, but something that's really important to know is that 15 or more migraine per month is considered chronic migraine. At the time, I was getting more than one migraine a day, and there weren't many times that I had a break from migraine. So I might be lucky if I had sort of 3 hours a day free from migraine. And the impact of that for me was that it would have an impact on my ability to talk. I would have trouble finding words. I caught up with some friends last year and I'd moved to suburbs and they asked me where I'd moved to and all my brain would give me is it starts with an A and I couldn't actually come up with the rest of the word. And that's been quite common throughout for me. Everybody has different triggers. I think my trigger was quite intense stress, and it's actually hard to talk about because it's incredibly painful. So for me at that time, I was getting a pain in a scale of 1 to 10, about 10 out of 10. I remember my doctor at the time saying it wasn't really worth me going to hospital because I'd be more comfortable at home. For me, I get more visually sensitive than orally sensitive, which actually means I can watch things. To begin with, I can feel it coming on. My face ends up looking quite different and swollen, and I get dark circles under my eyes. And at first I can maybe watch some YouTube video. This is kind of what got me really hooked into YouTube because it was a real lifeline to me for something. So at first I could watch and then I could only listen, so I'd close my eyes and listen. And then for a while I would be conscious, so I could experience the pain and the nausea. I could hear, but I couldn't take anything in anymore. I had to stop any kind of input coming in. And then if I was lucky, the drugs would have kicked in enough or my system had just kind of shut down and I'd fall asleep. So this has been on and off my life for the last 2 years. Yeah, as a creative, it's meant that I haven't been able to engage in creative life. I'm going to make another video about that, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about what chronic migraine is because I was in a position where I didn't have a definition. I didn't realise it was 15 or more migraine per month. I had a GP that I really trusted who wasn't actually doing the right thing by me. I think she thought that she could cure the migraine and that it was actually just stress, meaning that the kind of ongoing stresses meant that I was not recovering. But it meant that she prevented me from seeing a specialist. So the person I needed to see was a neurologist. And in Australia, you actually need to fail 3 drugs before you can get the more intense treatment or more appropriate treatment. My understanding is that the original treatment came from women getting Botox and feeling that they had relief from their migraine. So one option is to have 30 plus Botox injections to your head every 3 months. These treatments don't work in everybody. So that's option number 1. Option number 2 was to self-inject once a month with the drug that I'm on is called Ajovy. And what they did with that drug is my understanding of this, so correct me if I'm wrong, but is that they reverse engineered the impact that the Botox had. So they identified what particular thing it was working on, and then that's what's in this class of drugs that are a newer class of drugs. That's given me some improvement in my symptoms that mean that I'm starting to be able to do some more normal activities. Unfortunately, I'm still currently getting migraines every day. Every now and then I have a day where I don't, and it gives me a window of a view into what it could be like to, have my life back again. And the thing for me is it's really dropped the intensity. So I'm not feeling the kind of brain damage that I felt. Like it really felt, for those of you who haven't experienced it, it really felt like I'd been in a boxing ring or I had some kind of head injury. The only time I can think of a similar feeling was when I was learning to surf with a friend of mine, Chris, and I got dumped by a wave and my head hit the sand, the sea floor, and that feeling afterwards, the kind of disorientation, that kind of feeling would happen for at least a day or sometimes 2 days after a migraine. So there's the migraine and there's a kind of a migraine hangover. I didn't know anybody who'd experienced similar types of migraine. I had a friend who had, and apparently she'd been gently trying to suggest to me that I see a specialist, that I see a neurologist, but it perhaps wasn't kind of forceful enough. I wanted to share that because it's a very isolating feeling, and also to know that there are different types of drugs out there than there were many years ago, and also just to have some transparency around kind of what I've been dealing with and why I might be talking about how to be creative or to try and keep your creativity when you've experienced a chronic illness. I really hope that's helpful. This is a new YouTube channel, so I'm sharing different types of content, but that one I thought was really important to share, and really because the girlfriends that I caught up with were the ones who said, your doctor is not doing enough and you need to see a specialist, and they really advocated for me. And I was in such a haze, like I felt cognitively impaired. I felt like I couldn't think properly and I had trouble making decisions and understanding really what was going on. So just in case there's somebody out there who's like my GP, I had one day in last December where I got up on my stand-up paddleboard, and because this has been such a desperate situation, I've really tried to cling on to positive things. And I told my GP that I'd got up on a stand-up paddleboard, and that's really wonderful. And when I spoke to her later, she felt that she was curing me with the drugs, that they were being successful, and they were not. It was just me trying to be optimistic, and that was really a medical professional not taking the level of pain and disability that it caused my life seriously. I hope this helps somebody out there. It's quite hard to share, so I really appreciate you watching to the end. Thanks. See you in the next video.